Yo guys, Coach Theo here on Common Sense. Wes Watson has been imploding very publicly, so now I'm here with a freshly shaven chest and arms because Wes doesn't listen to anyone he doesn't want to be like. And I've been meaning to do a video talking about this for some time now because I happen to have a personal connection to Wes. I've been on one of his programs. I've been aware of him for like 5 years, so way before any of this recent drama went down. Secondly, I just think there's a lot to be learned from looking at this case. Many points to be made related to videos I've done recently. I see this as an example to learn from, right? A case of social media fame and success gone wrong. So this is not going to be your typical hater, haha, laugh at lol cow video. You know, I think that whole phenomenon is completely pathetic. It's one thing, we are human beings, we're social creatures. We are a bit interested in drama. If there's something going on with someone within a sphere, you're also within and you're a bit interested in it, it's like fine. But this kind of person that just are all about following like lol cows and laughing at them, because let me tell you, I've been that person way back, right? I've been on that site, Kiwi Farms, you know, and I've just seen that the people that spend the most time just following and hating and laughing at so-called lol cows, they're never great people, right? It's always a deflection from yourself, right? Look at this person that's very publicly and obviously making a fool of themselves. Look at them, look how bad they are. Let's focus on that so I don't have to look at myself and how poorly I am doing in certain areas of my life. Pathetic. But also, I'm not going to kiss Wes's ass or anything, because I definitely think he has, you know, it's been sad to see what's been going on lately. I just want to give you a different perspective. Okay, so let me go back to the start when I first came across Wes. It's like 5 years ago, right? It was actually the only girl I've been in a relationship with during this Uncommon Sense time. It was actually her who sent me a few of his videos to begin with, and I was like, yeah, man, this guy is spitting some truth, some wisdom, and I like his energy, right? And she told me like, yeah, you know, he reminded me of you. And back then I was like, what? I have no idea what she's talking about, you know, like this violent, tattooed, roided up criminal, you know, like what do I have in common with this guy, right? But I kept following from that point, checked the video here and there, and I started following a bit more closely when I went through. So for you that don't know, found this video, I'm someone that changed my life completely, like the polar opposite of how I used to be. And when I first started changing my lifestyle, I felt the best I ever had. And so when I first, after that change, hit like a difficult, heavy period in my life, that's when I really started looking at Wes's videos. And let me tell you, they were so helpful for me back then. This guy was spitting psychological and spiritual truths, you know. It was a different perspective. It wasn't so fucking positive all the time, which, you know, we need to be positive as well. But to me right then, you know, I couldn't find it in me to have some kind of like faked positivity or something. And all these messages of kind of like using the pain as fuel, like earning the right, when you're going through a hard time, earning the right to feel good from putting in the work in the gym, right? And it was actually a time, like I love the gym and training, but really during that time, the training was really like the one time I could feel all right for a while. And I mean, obviously I could train without Wes's videos, but a combination of following his videos and looking at it this way, like it meant a lot. It was very important for me then, right? So I followed him a bit more intensely there. And then I just kept following and checking a video here and there. And after a while, as I continued with my own personal development, I started to see a little bit what she had meant when she said that, you know, he reminded me of you. You know, we're quite different in some ways, but, you know, speaking freely, kind of common sense approach, you know, speaking harsh truths in a different way. He's louder, you know, curses more than I do, he's angrier, right? But I started to see like, we share some ideas, we have some similar philosophies, right? And so at this point, now I'm working officially like with social media and have a coaching business. And since I see some of these similarities in how we make videos and stuff, right? I'm like, well, Wes might be the man for the job, right? So I jumped on one of his coaching programs. This is like 3 years ago almost now. But I would say this would be right around the time when things started to change with Wes, okay? Because Wes, he went to prison, right? He was a drug dealer and violent criminal, and he reformed himself in prison, you know, got in shape, learned about all the fitness stuff, and found some other philosophical and spiritual truths in there, right? And he came out like completely broke, and was a completely success story. He was just sitting on park benches and spitting truths, right? and grew his YouTube channel and a coaching business, right? And look, I saw here and there that people said that he made up some stories and that. To me, I didn't really care, because it was his energy. It was not like what helped me with his videos was never like, oh, he's telling true stories from prison, it was the mindset. It was, purpose over pleasure, all these great lines, right? But so what started happening with Wes after a while was that he became very focused on like material things, big house, big cars, expensive clothes that aren't really good looking, these fucking Louis Vuitton bags and stuff. Just, it's like it's not even about it looking good, it's just like flashing that this is so expensive. And look, Wes has tried to make the point when people say that he's too materialist now, he's changed, that it's not about that you can't own things. Things can't own you. And I happen to agree with that someone that's like poor, they could be more like greedy and attached to the belongings they have than someone that's like rich and has 10 times as more stuff. They can be more detached from their stuff. So I completely agree with the point that it's not that if you are into expensive stuff, it's not necessarily contradictory to being like a spiritual person, for instance, right? It's about where it comes from. Personally, I'm not, I will never buy shit ton of fancy cars. I'm just not interested in it, right? But I agree with this. But still, when he said that, because he threw it in people's face so much. It's one thing, I can see the point of, see this guy coming out of prison with nothing and like the contrast. Now he has all these cars and that. Yeah, if it was like a little detail, but he started throwing it so much in your face. And it started when you saw him get into arguments, it's always like calling the person broke and shit, It did not, to me, like I wasn't thinking about this so much around the time, but I'm seeing it now looking back, that this was starting to happen around then. Well, anyway, I signed up for this coaching, right? And at this point, I'm like aware, I've seen Wes on his Instagram and stuff, that he has anger issues still, right? Like he gets very angry, gets triggered, gets into arguments with people. So, I'm not looking at Wes, like I'm not like looking up to him or thinking of him as this like perfect person or anything. I just see that, I can learn from him when it comes to the business side of things. We're doing things in a similar way. He's further ahead of me there. I can learn something from him there, right? So I sign up. I'm a little underwhelmed by what I get, just what I'm actually handed on the paper, if you see what I mean. But also, at the same time, I don't really care because I got good results from that program. Like, what I really got, mainly, was Wes sort of revealed to me some blind spots I had with some, like, weaknesses. And he also, the other thing too, he kind of revealed to me my strengths as a coach. So actually, in the end, what I got out most of the program was, like when it comes to business, it's more like I got out that I became a better coach. Like I became aware more of my weaknesses and strengths as a coach. And many of my clients I were working with at the time that knew, they said, like, man, you're learning, you're improving, you're growing. Right? Just one more thing I'm going to have to squeeze in somewhere. I told you that what I got on paper in the coaching was a bit underwhelming. What I wanted to tell you is that many times when you're working with a specific person, really like it's that person, it's not just the service. It's like, no, it's that person. That's part of the service, that you just get to work with this person. Like at that point, like I said, I wasn't like looking up to Wes or something, but I saw it as like really valuable. So even when I just paid for the coaching before it started, I started working harder, right? And one thing I have to say about Wes is that when it comes to his fitness knowledge, he's like not the expert like a natural bodybuilder like myself. It's like more school book in a sense, his approach. However, it does work. It's simple. For a lot of people, it's going to be good. And a lot of people jumping on his program, like they get insane transformation results. Like he has a shit ton of guys that all look so ripped at the end. Not always huge, but always gets them in great shape, right? It's because he knows the fitness on that level, like the body compositions are really well. But it's also because these guys, it's literally because they're working with him specifically. It's not because the exercises, sets, reps are magic or something. The magic is in that I'm with Wes now, I gotta deliver, I gotta do it, And that's something you really gotta give Wes though. Lots of amazing transformations have come through, like via him. But so I made a video that's called No Man Is Good, when I tell a story about Wes without naming him in that video, about how he like yelled at me at a group call, which was completely unfair. I'm not going to tell the story again. You can go look at No Man Is Good, right? But the thing is, yeah, because it was unfair. It's like proven fact that he shouldn't have yelled at me there. The thing is, though, I'm not there for Wes to be my girlfriend. Like I don't need him to be nice to me. So I just sat through being yelled at and let him do that unreasonably. And in the end, he gave me good advice, you know. And that was the point in that video, that you can learn from people, even though whether you like them or not, or whether it's not that they're nice. That is the thing, right? What I didn't mention in that video was that on the same call, he actually, right after me, he ended up like throwing one guy off and like refunding him his money because he got so upset and yelling at him. And look, that guy was kind of a weirdo, but it was just like, it was kind of awkward. It's like, you did not have to, like, you're clearly coming into this group coaching call, like, fuming from other shit. You're super sensitive, right? But so I learned from the coaching, but I didn't stay long at all, right? I felt like I've sucked in what I could here. I'll take this with me and move on, right? And so since I've seen more and more of this that I've talked about, like the extreme focus on material things, that just, I'm not buying this, like, oh, it's not about owning things can't own you. I'm not buying that story, even though I agree with the point. It's just not the impression that I get when I look at him, right? And then all these videos start popping up with just different reactions to things he does, right? And the unfortunate thing with Wes is like he gets super triggered and he spends too much energy on all the haters. And the thing is, I can relate to Wes. I know I have quite a different personality, but you're argumentative and extroverted. Like you whether positive or negative, you kind of enjoy going back and forth with people, right? So, when you're that kind of person, because people will tell you, like, don't focus on haters. Like, you can often engage with haters without, like, being too upset, right? You're also quite used to that the people who are hating are, like, they are quite obviously triggered by you, and they're trying to put you down or make you feel bad or something, right? So you're used to that. But then you can become a little blind to, when things actually get to your head, when you're starting to get arrogant, right? And this is what I feel like has happened with Wes, that he's completely blind to how like, having all the eyes on him on social media. As I've been talking about how social media affects all of us, but a lot of us that create and have like followings, as it gets bigger, it really messes with you as a little human being, social creature that still will have these on some degree worries about what do people think about me, how do I come across, and things, right? So, because I'm telling you, I try to learn from this, right? I can see how I, on some small levels, at times have been maybe started become a little too full of myself, arrogant, but I try to catch myself then and be like, okay, it's time to humble myself again, not justify being a douchebag to, for instance, some people in a comment or something, right? But Wes, that's the issue I've seen now. He's just been doubling down. And people are hating more, reaching out to him more, and he's not hiding from it, right? He's engaging with it, so he becomes super triggered by it. And then this thing happened, right? Like, because he keeps telling people to come and fight him. All these things that are so obviously, so very insecure thing, like, come and fight me then. Or like, oh, you're broke, dude. It's like all these put-downs by, this really like macho, really insecure male kind of thing, right? And so finally someone took him up on that, like some big black guy shows up, right? And Wes, going around with all this like triggering from everything that's been happening recently, lashes out. They beat this guy up, and like it's so funny to Wes said in the video before the video of this came out, like, it's self-defense clear as day, and then you see it's like self-defense. You're several people beating him with like objects like a lifting belt when he's on the ground and stuff. And seeing that made me like really like, yeah, Wes is a shit talker, like. Now, when I hear him say it in that way and then see that, like, okay, I can clearly see how some of the prison stories weren't all truthful, even though I don't really care about that part, honestly. But, yeah, so he does that. He might go to jail for this again. And then he just keeps getting into shit, Like now, it's a thing with his height. For whatever reason, he gets super upset when people say that he's like 5'8", he's 6 foot, he claims, right? I don't know. I worked online with him. But like, it's like, why care? Why give a thing like that attention, right? Like why not respond to it? But so he's like pretty much what I'm seeing with Wes now. Just digging it a deeper and deeper hole, like that guy John Bravo. I gotta tell you, even if I say that obsessing over lol cows, I think it's kind of a pathetic, thing to indulge in. But I gotta tell you that it is funny when John Bravo says that piece of shit of Wes Watson. Yeah, but he's getting like rich off of Wes just making a complete. He's playing all these people right in their hands, right? He's not winning against the haters whatsoever, and he might go to prison again. I don't know what's going to happen. I guess, I'm talking about this also because it's a little interesting, right? People, like this is me, to the degree I indulge in drama. If I see some connection to myself and something going on, I might do a video, right? But what I really wanted to talk about is like, to me, Wes, I've talked with him personally. I've had one-on-one calls, I've had him on chat, and I followed him. And to me, I always saw something real in him. And as a person that's very real yourself, you don't rarely make mistakes with that kind of thing. I feel like we are about the same thing, right? At least initially, but since I've seen also with myself what getting, even though I'm nowhere close to Wes, just what you're having a bigger following, people like telling you nice stuff, having some success maybe with coaching related to this social media following and stuff. I can definitely see both how it can get to your head, that you could become a bit arrogant, but also how it can kind of amplify your insecurities. You feel like you're on display for so many people, and you have these bit large shoes that you need to fill. And unfortunately, Wes, he's like a case of not having dealt with his trauma. Because, I say I can fall into similar patterns, but I'm very aware of it. And I'm looking at someone like Wes like that. I absolutely do not want that to end up like that. I started out for something real. Now, I am just like a fucking... I am overcompensations and coping mechanisms being triggered very publicly for everyone, not being helpful whatsoever, right? And yeah, I don't want that. And the thing about Wes, I remember on a group call, someone talked about childhood trauma, and he wanted to make them. It's not childhood trauma because it's happening now and you're aware of it. And look, I like that thing about taking responsibility for your shit, right? Not like, oh, it's from my childhood. Oh, I have to fuck up because of my childhood, right? At the same time, though, that is a thing. You have your insecurities, defense mechanisms. You need to understand some things about yourself so you can heal and change some behaviors. And that's what I feel like Wes has not really looked complete. I would guess he had a terrible childhood, but I never heard him say a bad word about his family. I think they made fun of him for being fat, but they must have treated him worse, But it's so obvious that Wes had massive anger, emotional issues, abandonment issues, right? And has not dealt with them. And then when you get into a situation like this, these things just get turned up to like, and yeah, it's like a warning to everyone in life, like especially folk, Swedish, but to anyone, that you can go in a direction and start it out good and not even see what's happening to you in the process. And there's a saying I've been bringing up in several videos lately that, if you get on the wrong train, like you better get off soon, because the further you go, the further the way back is. And a lot of people, whether that's this situation or something else, they end up feeling like I've just gone too far. I just have to keep going straight to hell. And that's where I feel like Wes, you're doubling down. But what a person like me would like to see that, because, I don't get so upset about this. Like, oh, my hero, he's ruined it now. Like, I don't really care like that. But yeah, I do like Wes. I know he started out well, and it is sad to see. So someone like me that also think, he's done silly shit, but it's really just like immature, insecure shit. I haven't really seen him. Okay, I guess beating the guy, but honestly, even if they beat the guy in a fair way, people are aggressing. It's like it's not completely that he's just out of nowhere beating up a guy, even if it is in a fair way. The point being is that people like myself, we would just like to see Wes be like, man, I fucked up. Like, all of this fame, it got to my head. The haters, it all got to me. I'm sorry for the way I've been acting lately. I need to rethink things. It would be so beautiful to see an arc where Wes, like, actually processes some of this anger he's walking around with a lot of, be a little more mellow. That I absolutely have seen Wes. I remember when I was working with him on Thanksgiving, he was in a very grateful state, Yeah, that's it. Wes, if you buy, I guess you're probably not going to listen to this or watch this, but You know, I love you, Wes. I'm not hating on you. I think you're fucking up, and it is like you're making a fool out of yourself completely. But it's okay. We all fuck up. It's like stop trying to be God and be a man with flaws and weaknesses, and just say I fucked up. That's one of the manliest things you can do. Take responsibility for your mistakes, fuck ups, right? So guys, like and comment. You know, all the A logs. Well, you know, just go off if you want to in the comments. I do holistic bodybuilding coaching, getting jacked and stacked mentally, physically, spiritually, working on ourselves, body, mind, and soul, becoming that man that just is jacked. You know, the external is manifestation of the internal person. So if you are interested, you can send me a DM on Instagram and email me. It's in the description below. I'll get back to you with my different programs. You can pick up my training book, everything training, philosophy and mindset related you need in order to become a self-reliant, jacked and stacked individual. Please subscribe for more content about fitness, fast and losing weight, building muscle, self-improvement, stoicism, mental health, philosophy, spirituality, mindset. It is a mindset, guys. Admit when you were wrong. Okay, peace.